live. Can you guys hear me?
All right. How are we, everybody? Can you guys hear me on the stage?
Sure can.
Fantastic. Full disclosure, I've been a little croaky this week, so if my voice cuts out every now and again, you know why. But as always, I figure we just start with a bit of a whip around the block. There's been obviously so many things happening this week. Comic books, congratulations, Dan and Trevor and everybody involved, have been a big success. I think we'll cover off a fair few of the FAQs from that as well. Dan, any feedback on that? How's it been going on our end?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the uptake has been far greater than we anticipated. I mean, I'd probably say that every drop, I should get used to thinking that drops are going to always sell out. But yeah, no, overall, very, very pleased with how it went. Obviously, I was a bit nervous on my side, rolling out a, big feature like that, a lot of eyeballs on it, obviously expectations from licensors. But yeah, overall, really pleased with how it's turned out. And I think just one thing to iterate, which I probably should have made a little bit clearer in our earlier communications, is that this really is just phase one of comics. So I'm sure everything that's going to be asked today is already on the development list, and hopefully will be rolled out very, very soon as we continue to expand
#soon
and really just improve the whole comic side of the app. To in a similar way that we have done with comics. But yeah, I really hope that everyone is enjoying actually reading these comics. I mean, for me, I've never read Marvel Comics #1 or Journey into Mystery, so it's great to be able to get our hands on these and actually read them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think that's most of the feedback that I've received as well. Obviously, people have a few questions about it, but for the most part, I think a lot of people are really just enjoying having these things. One question I have got today a fair bit, people want to know if eventually they'll be able to read these things offline. Is that something that we're sort of leaning towards?
Yeah, the whole offline thing with the app is something that I am aware of. It is a bit tricky because there's a lot of authentication and such that goes on between the app and obviously the back-end servers. So it can be a bit tricky, but with comics, it is something I can look into for sure. Yeah, not on the immediate roadmap, but I do hear what people are saying.
Yeah, I think that's the assumption I was operating on as well, that it wasn't on the immediate roadmap, but would be. You can't even use VeVe offline at the moment anyway, right? So
Yo, Taps, can you guys hear me okay?
Sort of localization there.
Like the mic's good and everything?
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we might just cover some of the quick FAQs. If anyone hasn't seen it yet or isn't aware, all of the OKX giveaway prizes have now been distributed. So there's 16 people have won themselves a Jermaine Rogers collectible, and 2,000 people have received 10,000 OMI tokens, I believe. So all of that is now out and available if you haven't checked your accounts. And just to cover a few other FAQs that we've kind of had this week, a few people have asked why the marketplace opens back up before delivery is complete. Now, there is a thread on the VeVe Twitter if you want to go and read that for more detail, but essentially it's really based on a load issue. So once the load drops off and the drop is complete or slowed down, collectibles are obviously delivered straight away, but the market comes back online when that load has kind of dropped off. So it's not that we're sitting there and deciding now is the time to reopen the market. It's all part of the automated system there. Rarity sorting, Dan, am I right that's coming in one of the next updates?
100%. So in the market, the collectibles section, the comic section will function exactly as the collectibles do. So each cover rarity will be grouped. You can tap on that, and then inside that you'll have the two tabs at the top for buy now and auction. 100% apologies that didn't make it into the first phase. We were a little bit up against it on the time, but I can assure you that feature is basically done on the back end. So it will be in the next app release, which we're aiming to get out as soon as we can next week, pending approval from the lords and almighties of the app stores.
Always at their whim. Always at their whim. One other question we get, and you can probably provide better insight on this, really the differentiation between comic books as collectibles and, say, the premium models that we also provide as collectibles. Obviously collecting comics right now, you can't really complete the set of them, is that right? I mean, obviously you can collect all the covers, but it doesn't quite count as a collectible set at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, really, the comic books are a completely different product. Really, I mean, they are there to be to mimic what happens in the real world of comic reading, and this is the same way with the rarity covers. There's always only a very, very small amount of rarity covers. So yeah, we aren't. I was talking with David about it the other day. We aren't planning on doing sets for that for a couple of reasons. Number one, as you guys probably know, the rarities for comics are significantly lower. So that would mean that there's only going to be a small percentage of the audience who would ever be able to complete a set. And really, comics are there to be collected and read. That's the main objective behind releasing this product. So there is definitely some differentiation between the two products. But again, as I say, this is phase one, and I'm sure it's going to evolve into something that's very, very collectible beyond even just owning. If you're lucky enough, I wasn't 100% able to get one of these ultra rares or secret rares.
Yeah, I'm running the common game over here as well. But just on that, it's all completely randomized now, isn't it? Like the edition numbers and the potential of getting a rarer cover. Like I think people were confused that maybe the first 3,000. Yeah, that's correct.
That's right. So this is how it works in the world of comics. So, for example, if I own a comic store, I will get a whole bunch of whatever it is, 100 comics delivered to me in a sealed box, and then within that box, there's going to be X number of cover variants, assuming that comic is released with a cover variant. So we really wanted to stay true to what is already out there, already modeled, and what people already sort of understand. And that is again one of the differentiations between comics and digital collectibles within VeVe.
Yeah, perfect. I think that'll help people. I know. I mean, me personally, and quite a lot of people in the community, the whole the traditional collecting side of things is pretty new to me and to a lot of people. So understanding these nuances is just a great bit of insight there. And just a couple other things to cover off on that front. People have obviously asked about dropping their comics in their showrooms or reading them in AR. Now, I think that's pretty close as well.
Yes, it is. I wasn't 100% happy with the AR reader, so I just wanted to hold that back a little bit. But yeah, I can say that the reading experience is really cool. I mean, it's almost like you're actually reading the comic like it's there. And in fact, I prefer to read them in AR mode than in the e-reader in the app. So super excited about getting that one out. Hoping it's going to make it into the next release. So we've just got to do some final testing on some of the AR, put some instruction screens in. But if it's not in the next one, it will 100% be in the follow-up one from that. I'm super excited to get that out. And on the showrooms, yes, we will eventually add comics into the showroom. I'm not anticipating that's going to be too long. But of course, who doesn't want a shelf in their showroom with all of their epic comics on it? I mean, absolutely. I 100% want that as well. So definitely coming.
I'm going to have to get a secret rare.
Awesome. I'd love to actually be able to put like crates or boxes in my showroom and fill them with comics and then have other people, if you could come through and explore other people's collections like that, would be pretty cool.
Wow, that'd be interesting.
Just on the showrooms, how is showroom version 2 progressing?
Showroom version 2 is also very close to fruition as well. Obviously now, the past few months, well, actually, to be honest with everyone, the past 8 months have been pretty hectic and crazy, and really getting the wine boxes out and getting the entire comic feature out was sort of the last big project that we had in that last sort of sprint that we were doing. Well, I shouldn't say sprint. I should say epic. So moving forward now, we can start to release the showroom and all those kind of features that are all done in the back end. It was just really a decision that we don't want to be releasing too many new features when there's a big feature like comic rolling out. It can sometimes amplify the things that can go wrong. So now that's out. We get phase 2, or at least these next few updates of comics out. The showroom is very close behind that. And we've got a couple of new features coming out in the showroom as well. One is undo redo, because it's as you guys know, using it on mobile can be a little bit finicky. So we've built in undo redos just to make it a little bit easier to set things up. And then I believe the empty showrooms or the empty space, for example, is coming along well. Again, a couple of little things that I want to tweak on that before pushing that out. So hoping, what's the date today before I promise this? Yeah, probably before early September, I'm hoping to have showroom version 2 coming out. And one quick note on that. I know we've touched on this before, but just for our new listeners, if you do have an existing showroom number 1, that showroom will no longer be available. If you create a new one, you'll always get version 2 of the showroom. But if you have an existing version 1, you will be able to keep that. It's almost like a little badge for the OGs. And also, people have spent hundreds, if not thousands, of hours in there combined. So we don't want to take that away from anyone.
Let's go.
Yeah, I love the retro showroom, and you're right. Some people have spent incredible amounts of time.
That's awesome. Yo, shout out to Ryan, man.
Just,
I love the showroom.
Some people may not be aware of it or might have missed it. The empty showroom you just mentioned, or the blank showroom. Do you want to just explain that to people?
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole idea of this empty space, effectively think of it as the showroom, but it's got no walls, no anything. And the idea here is that you're able to start building up. Even if it's like a diorama, say for example, you manage to collect all of the mighties, and then you want to see only those mighties in AR. You can then set up this empty space, add as many collectibles as you want, and eventually you'll be able to add all the accessories in there as well. And then when you project that into AR, there's not going to be any of the showroom walls or anything like that.
Always gets in the way.
I know what a lot of people do now is they have to drag the collectibles out the front of the showroom in order to get multiple collectibles in the AR space. So that's the whole kind of concept behind the empty showroom or the empty space.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I think some people may have seen our early demos that showcase that a little bit, but it's definitely been something we've been working towards. My one question I did have recently, and I can't quite remember the answer to this. Do we have the ability to take AR photos with the selfie camera yet, or is that a limitation on the phones?
What that requires is a feature called Occlusion, and Occlusion is kind of similar to like how LiDAR might work, for example. And what it's able to do is, for example, if I am taking a selfie, it can detect my body, or it can detect a human body, and then it can place the AR elements behind that. So very similar with LiDAR. You could scan the room, and it might detect say if you're in your living room, it might pick up your couch or your TV, and then when you drop one of our 3D collectibles into that AR space, they will be sitting behind the items. So that's actually a feature that's been already developed internally. We just need to get it. Like I say, now that we're through all of these, big sort of updates and releases, we can now start to push that through our QA pipeline. So that's another feature I'm really quite excited about is building in this occlusion. So we are able to, place objects behind. You could have your DeLorean in a whole line of cars like sitting in the middle somewhere there. Now this is tech that actually comes from Apple and Google with their AR tools, so nothing that we're developing proprietary. So it's not 100%, but still better than not having anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I think anything that engages people and enables you to share photos like that is going to be a good thing for the platform anyway. So that's exciting. And I think we, like you just alluded to, I think we'll whip through a lot of those developments now that these big updates have rolled out. So it's good to be on that side of it. We may as well cover a couple other things before we open the floor. How is Immutable progressing? Because I know people will ask that.
Yep, so Immutable is going very well. Most of the development on our side is pretty much done. All of the contracts have been deployed to testnet, and really now we're going through a heavy testing phase. I think I mentioned in the last AMA, like obviously this is quite a big migration for the company, and there's going to be token swaps involved. So we just want to make sure before we start to roll that out, that it goes through some very heavy testing, and we're working very closely with the guys over at Immutable to get that process all underway. Now, in terms of timeline, because I'm sure that's the top of everyone's mind, and you know how I feel about timelines, but I do expect the testing to take really another solid 2 to 4 weeks, and my aim, as long as touch wood, nothing goes wrong, that we can really start to have everything rolled out mid to late September, and that would mean getting the token swap site out. And I think there's one thing to remember, that this is quite a big migration for us. There's a lot of pieces in the pie. So yeah, please just bear with us as we work through the fairly complex development of it.
Yeah, I think most people understand that, right? I mean, we're obviously dealing with people's assets and quite a lot of value, and from a technical standpoint, it's involved. So, obviously, we all want it to happen as quick as possible, but it takes. When it's ready, it's ready. So it's one of those things. And of course, the other question I'm sure we will get is on the buybacks. Now, I keep people updated on this, that it's with David Yu at the moment, and I'm just waiting on him to approve some things. Dan, I don't know if you have any other updates we can provide on that.
That's the same update from my side. Dave's working through that at the moment, and we hope to have some news on that pretty soon.
Perfect.
Didn't they say buybacks?
Well, I think that
like
kind of
slowly?
covers everything that we had going on. I might start inviting some people up to the stage. Kay, if you had any community questions while you're up here as well, feel free. And there is the community chat too, guys. If anyone wants to just drop a question in the what's it called? Voice chat discussion channel. I'll keep an eye on that too.
Yep. So I've got two questions, one from myself, one that's community based, and a small caveat regarding the comic books. So firstly, the screen, when you go into the comics, right now the buy it nows and auctions are mixed up, but if you go to the feed and you find someone's comic book that they've posted on their feed, and then click view in store from that feed UI, it takes you to the comic book, and then you have like little numbers that say 5,000 and whatever available in the market. If you then click that, you then get taken to the screen that actually has the buy it now and auction separate for the comics. That's the only way that we found out in order to separate them. So it's a bit long-winded, but you can actually see the normal screen, and then you can also sort by edition numbers and everything else just like normally. So the two questions. Firstly, the community one is based around the comic books and their collectible status. So right now they don't count towards a set. I think you alluded earlier, Dan, that they would count towards a set, but also because they're comics, they're kind of in their own category, not collectibles. The question is, would comics count towards your collectible count, or will it be a kind of separate comic count when you have a full set of comics? That's the first question. I'll just let you answer that.
Yep, thanks, Gabe. So the question was, so any collectible you have in the platform is from our side regarded as the same. So if you own 5 digital collectibles and 5 digital comics, then you own 10 collectibles. One thing I just wanted to be clear on there, Kay, was that right now we haven't got comics set up as sets for the time being, for the reasons that I alluded to earlier. The fact that there's just so low of the rare numbers, and really comics are there to be read. They are still 100% collectibles. There's just obviously they're just a slightly different product. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Wait, so under the profile, it's going to show up as our collectibles are going to show up in the profile, right?
Yes, it will. It will. Like I say, we've still got a few updates coming in phase 2 where we need to integrate the comics a little bit more, but they will show up as a like the example I just said.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and the second question for myself is, so you spoke a little bit about the occlusion aspect. I know that comes kind of like as standard now as a feature with Google AR Core. There's a couple of other cool features that I've seen that come with Google AR Core. One that I've used specifically is the kind of bifocal feature. So essentially what you can do is on your screen, when you're viewing something in AR, you can essentially integrate a button that lets you split the screen in half, and then you could use your phone with a kind of headset. I know you guys are kind of leaning towards wearables in the future anyway, but I was wondering if it had been discussed or kind of looked at the bifocal feature, so people can kind of just natively split their screen within the app and then put their phone into a headset that they may own, so they can kind of view it in sort of mixed reality as well. That's just another one-off kind of thing.
No, I mean, it's a great feature that comes out of the box, basically. Well, not out of the box, obviously there's still a bit of work involved. But yeah, I mean, it's not on our immediate roadmap, but as we start to roll out all of these additional features with AR, that's definitely something that I can put on the feature backlog.
Cool, thank you.
Just on that, Dan, I know a few people will want to know, do comics count towards the master collector in any capacity, or we'll release more on that later?
It will, yeah. I mean, like I say, it's a collectible that you own, so it will have some bearing on what you do. And in fact, really any product or anything that we bring onto the platform like that is something you own, will contribute.
Ooh.
Perfect. Now, team, I'm just inviting a few people up. If you've never been on the stage before, I believe you have to accept the invitation to come up. And then if I can just request people have their microphones on mute when they first make it to the stage, just so we don't get any sort of noise pollution there. And then we'll take it from there. So while we're up here, Shadow NFT, if you've got a question, and then Emoji, we might need you.
Sweet. Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
All right. So basically, I kind of had just like a point of view, I guess, from just a consumer. So I'm really glad that the team separated the comics, Marvel Comics, into their own category, and hopefully future comics, if other companies want to do that as well. The reason why is because it kind of creates a different kind of atmosphere on the comic side than it does from the regular statues or animated NFTs. Me personally, like, with animated and statue NFTs, like, I'm going for like the highest rarity on the drop. If I get it, cool. If I don't get it, then I'm hunting for cool deals in the marketplace, or maybe someone doesn't value it as much as I do, so I'm trying to pick those up. But when it comes to the comic side, since they're all like one entity, I'm on like a totally different mindset where I'm like looking for rarities. I'm looking for low mints. I'm looking for like 777. I'm looking for a lot of different things, since they're all kind of like the same thing, but they have different things that make them more valuable to my eyes, I guess. And so I guess I was just wondering, is like, was that always a intention? Did y'all want to like intentionally do that? Because if so, I think that's a great idea, because as we add different types of collectibles, they all come with different type of collectors that will value things in different ways.
Yeah, you're right on there. As I mentioned before, the comics really are quite a different product to the digital collectible. And as you say, there are different ways of collecting them because they're a different product. You might go for, for example, you might get a secret rare, but it's a high mint number, and you might want to try to find the same secret rare that's a low mint number, or you get a common that's a low mint number that will also have some value in it. So I do personally see it as quite a different style of collecting with different strategies and different objectives. And for me personally, I really like this kind of diversity in the platform where we're not just operating off one type of collectible model, and sometimes that's just not possible when we bring out different product ranges like this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I was feeling. So that's cool. And then my second question is kind of about
there's,
the
like,
VV
anime-
verse. I'm not sure if things are kind of still the same, but I did kind of have a question on that. So we've been hearing a lot, and I guess reading a lot about people's different, I guess, beliefs of what the VV verse is going to be. But a lot of, I guess, new things have been coming up. Some of them are like, you may be able to build, I guess, your own, like, kind of like showroom or mini game or something like that. And then some say that it's going to be more of like you are renting out. If you create like a masterpiece showroom and then you can rent it out. And that might be in the VVverse. Do we have anything confirmed by the team of like what direction y'all are going with the VVverse yet? Or is it all still right now kind of up in the air on what direction we're going?
So yeah, there is a lot of speculation out there about features, and I will say now that it is going to be impossible for us to include at least early on, everyone's ideas. But some of the points you touched on there, yes, absolutely will be part of the VVverse. Now that comics has come to an end, I can really start focusing again on moving ahead with the scope that we've got. So what I as I've mentioned last time, I don't want to discuss it too much now, but obviously to give you guys a bit of an idea of how the VVverse is going to be modeled, and just keep in mind that this is going to be a platform that's going to start off with X number of features, and then it's going to grow and develop and evolve like all of these metaverses should do. So to start off with, it's all going to be based around VeVe City, which is an area where effectively you can do what you do in the app, but in a much more sort of 3D metaverse style world. Within the metaverse as well, everyone will obviously have their own showroom. In this case, it's not really going to be a showroom. It'll more become your sort of house in the metaverse. And there will be things like land and all that you can purchase in the metaverse as well. So,
Omi price.
I am also very excited about getting that feature underway again and getting some more information out to you. I actually always feel a bit guilty when I'm working on it because it's actually so much fun to work on. I'm like, hang on, this can't be right. I should be totally stressed out and not enjoying myself.
Dan's having too much fun.
Really looking forward to getting some more info out to you guys. I just don't want to send out any piecemeal information now. I prefer to wait till we've got everything, solidified as to what we're going to do, and then work that into an article of some sort that we can start to roll out.
Sweet. So it's fine to speculate, but wait for official confirmation. Sounds good. And I think I didn't expect to in the VVverse have like your own house or crib or whatever ends up being called. Like that's kind of cool. So yeah, thanks. That was pretty much all my questions I had.
You gave a lot of detail.
No worries. Thanks for coming up.
Probably the most detail in the VVverse.
Piggybacking off that question, just a quick one. With the VVverse, would you be able to confirm, Dan, if it's built using Unity or Unreal Engine? Just because I found that things built with Unreal Engine always look like really beautiful. It's just kind of like they have ridiculous assets. But Unity again has like a lot of nice kind of inbuilt assets. So I was just curious.
I bet Omi goes up.
So we'll be sticking with Unity. That's obviously our entire system at the moment. And, tools like Unreal, the reason they look so good is because they have live ray tracing and those kind of, 3D features which make things look extra shiny. But it's inevitable that other platforms like Unity will be rolling out similar features.
Look at the Spider-Man preview.
Unity has ray tracing too.
I guarantee you they preview the
people
city
have this misconception when they say Unity versus Unreal that it's what they're basically seeing is the out of the box settings of Unity and Unreal, and basically Unreal out of the box just turns a lot of post processing stuff on, and Unity doesn't. But ultimately, it's the visual fidelity that you get out of one engine for another is kind of irrelevant to the final product because that's just how they choose to release their engines.
Fair enough. All right. Thanks for those guys. Emoji, if you've got a question up here, feel free. Otherwise, Jack. And we'll go to Jack. Hey, mate, go for it.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
Really well.
Good. Yeah, the comic book drop was awesome. Just wanted to highlight on that. I had 2 comic book questions. One's not really applicable for right now, but it's just an inquiry I have regarding the future, and another one, I guess, is a more closer time frame thing. So the first one I wanted to ask is, because comic books are, they can be serialized, they have like different volumes or continue off of each other. I know down the line that, there's going to be different upgrades as far as just how they're organized. But would we be able to, once we do start getting these, serialized comic books or in volumes, or kind of organize them ourselves and put them into our own type of collection, so that way we can have our own reference of how we want to group them together?
Yeah, great question. We will absolutely be adding those features in as the comic book side of the platform continues to evolve, in a similar way to what you can do with your digital collectibles right now. How you can have on your collection page, you can choose what hashtags to show. Right now, the reason it's set up the way it is because between now and the end of the year, we're not going to have a huge amount of comics. I mean, there's probably going to be a few rolling out each week. But as those series grow, in the back end of the application, we already have all of the data around series, or whether it's an artist. So you will have the ability to display all of your comics in series. Say, for example, if you have all of the Journey into Mysteries, they can be all grouped by series. And then emoji, as you say, there will be the ability to have custom groups as well. So as the comic book range expands, we get a lot more comics in there, and a much greater need to start to categorize them is when we'll start to roll those features out.
Nice, awesome. And the second question that I had was more so along the comic book reading experience. I know that's around the corner too, but I noticed because I have a lot of comics on Comixology and Kindle and stuff, and they have a feature where you can read the comic panel by panel, which kind of gives a really dynamic feel, because it'll zoom in on the action and stuff like that. So is that something that may be coming too with our comic book reading experience?
Absolutely, that will be part of the Phase 2 comic rollout, which is basically getting underway now, and that's what we refer to as guided view. So yeah, at the bottom of the reading screen, rather than just being able to tap left or right to change page or zoom in, there'll be a couple of previous and next arrows, which will actually jump you through each of the predefined panels in the as part of the reading experience. Like I say, this really is Phase 1. Most of the features that you see out there now that have become a bit
just
more
wait till
ubiquitous
this time
to
next
comic
year,
reading,
y'all.
will absolutely be coming into VeVe Comics.
Awesome.
Comics.
Looking forward to it. Thank you guys again. Appreciate it. And yeah, I'm psyched for tomorrow's drop. You guys are killing it. Awesome.
Good luck.
The futters aren't going to like to hear when people compliment.
Thanks, mate. Hey, just on that, Dan.
It's so funny.
Just out of curiosity, and to kind of get some of your vision on the side of digital comics, where do you see this going in a couple of years? Do you think we'll get to a point where you zoom in on a panel and it will have sound effects or small animations and kind of become almost like a live book?
I mean, I think the major barrier to that is the huge amount of work involved. I mean, effectively, you're taking, a single comic which might have up to 65 pages, and then each panel you're having to go in and animate or manipulate in some way. And that is a considerable amount of work. It's a production in itself, just for a single comic. And then also, obviously, the comics that get delivered to us is the IP of the license holder. So it would really come down to whether that's something that they want to do as part of the IP product that they deliver. I'm going to say that while there may be some features, maybe with AR or whatever, where there's some interactivity on pages, but I would say it's unlikely that we'll ever see fully animated panels, just due to the immense amount of workload.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Maybe we'll release the occasional animated secret rare or something if it ever becomes available. But I'm sure Marvel have
I could dig it.
as Trevor likes to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, Star Wars. I could definitely see Star Wars.
Yeah.
Dragon
No, it's
Ball
cool.
Z.
It's cool to think about the potential future of these things. But anyway, Jacket B, if you're up here and you want to ask a question, I did mute your mic, so.
Yep. Can you hear me now?
All right. Go for it.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yep. Perfect. Cool. Happy Friday, guys. Thanks for taking the time and talking with us. I have two quick questions for you. One is really just curious on your personal preference here. Do you personally value maybe like a lower edition comic more so than a higher edition rare, or is it really just a personal preference thing?
I think it's a personal preference, and it also depends what your outcome is. I mean, we all know that there's a big flipper community within VeVe, and if you are a flipper, then your objectives or your preferences are going to be different, to mine. Whereas, I mean, for me, number one, I unfortunately don't have really much time to collect anything on VeVe, but I guess for me, in terms of collecting. Yeah, a lower mint seems cooler to me personally. I mean, if I got a low mint secret rare, then obviously that's that's a double whammy right there.
For sure. So you mentioned earlier, this is what I believe you said. This is actually how it works for real comics. And I'm personally not a flipper. I'm more of a long-term value holder. In the real comic world, which ones has held their value better? Has it been the lower ones, even if it's the less rare cover, or have the covers held their value longer in the long run?
Well, if you have a variant cover, they are by nature significantly more rare. So they can, I mean, I can't say for certain, and it all depends on the comic and all of that stuff as to what their actual value would be. But in the world of physical comics, they aren't actually edition numbers. So I mean, they might print. Who knows, if it's a super popular comic, they might print 50,000 copies in the first run. If that sells out really quickly, they'll do a second print run. So there's no, unlike in the digital space, there's really no edition number per se. And that's why in the comic world, if you do manage to get a variant cover, that is something that's quite rare. But also the other difference in the physical world of comics is that, you might have there are no mint numbers, but it actually comes down to the grading of the comic, such as using systems like CGC, where you might see, for example, like a 9.4 or a 9.6, or if you're super lucky, a 9.8. And that basically just means the quality or the condition of that comic. So there's a few differences between the world of digital comics and the type that VeVe offer, and the physical world, which make those comparisons a bit difficult to compare.
For sure, that totally makes sense. So again, this sounds like real world comics, the variant cover. So maybe over the long run, that's how VeVe comics will be as well. I'll go next to my next question here. From my understanding, just wanted to confirm with you guys, are we waiting for immutable transfer till we can start to expect being able to buy and sell the collectibles with OMI? And when that transfer does, if that is the case, how long after that immutable transfer will something like that be available? Is that something that can roll out pretty quick after the total switch to immutable, or there'll be some severe testing that goes along with that before it's rolled out?
So yeah, most of the OMI utility we are saving for post-immutable, just because it makes total sense in terms of the development timeline. Right now, we aren't developing other features concurrently to the migration, just because that in itself is a big enough project. However, we are starting to line up now all of the developments that is going to take place, such as things like being able to purchase an OMI, doing a lot more things with OMI in the app to give you, to give it more utility. So yeah, you can probably expect over September that we'll start rolling out information about exactly what utility is coming, general kind of roadmap for it, and yeah, what you can expect.
Perfect. Cool. Last question here. I think you had mentioned about the token swap, that there might be like a token swap website. Is that like a website we'll send it to, or will we actually be able to do that swap through like an exchange like Bit4X? If we keep our OMI in Bit4X, will we then be able to swap it once the Ethereum-based OMI tokens are available?
We decided that, I mean, there is still a possibility that you will be able to swap through the exchanges. However, internally we deemed it a safer way to use the token swap platform that we provide. That way, you know that it's coming from a Comey, you know that it's legitimate, because unfortunately there are so many scams around. So we wanted to make the call to try to do it as the most safe and secure way for our users. So there will be a token swap as the primary mechanism to make that swap. And if any of you have ever used our WOMI platform, it will function in a very, very similar way, as in you'll connect MetaMask and then you'll be able to swap the tokens through the wallet.
Perfect, cool. Thank you guys all for the information here. Thanks for 3 days in a row of comic drops. Appreciate everything you do, and everyone have a great weekend.
Thanks so much, you too.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Orion, if you're up here, I'm just...
Orion, let's go.
Yeah, hi guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, got you there, man. Oh, we just lost you.
Oh, there.
Yep.
I'm having a hard time holding the button down. All right, I hope I've got it now. I have a few questions on the comics. The first one is, do you think the comics would have a separate drop schedule from the other collectibles? Or would we like have 1 week of comics and then 1 week of something else? Or could they go, in parallel with each other?
They absolutely will be going in parallel with each other. So from, obviously we're in Marvel month at the moment. When Marvel month comes to a close, obviously we'll still be releasing Marvel products, probably for years to come. But yeah, we absolutely will be running the two products concurrently. Same goes for when we eventually roll out accessories. We might be, each week you might have a drop of comics, accessories, and collectibles
laid out for decades.
So yes, that will be
maybe
happening.
not that long. They haven't rolled out for years.
And this is a question that was mentioned in this morning's Discord for the drop, the VeVe official. And that was, do you think there could be an ability to have the comics be read to us, not necessarily animated, but like if we touch one of the panels and then maybe, Chris Hemsworth's voice would read it to us or something, something fun like that. I know there's a lot of people that, sometimes struggle with reading, their eyesight or dyslexia or anything like that. And it would be nice to be able to include them in this.
Yeah, no, that is a good point, actually. 100% can't guarantee Chris Hemsworth. I mean, if we did that, the price of the comic would probably have to go up to $70. But yeah, let me add that to the feature backlog, and we'll see. There are a few obviously complexities around doing that. I know there is a lot of text-to-speech software out there at the moment, but we're dealing with a fairly different product there. So, like any feature, we just have to assess it. Understand how much of the audience is desiring a feature like that, the technical challenges, and then based on all of that, we sort of decide whether it goes into the roadmap or not. But I appreciate you bringing up the thought.
Great. And just 2 more quick ones. One, do you see any badges being available within the comic for the Master Collector? Like if you collect this set, so to speak, it doesn't count as a set, but maybe you get a badge, or you have so many Marvel comics, you'd get a badge. Do you see something like that?
Yeah, there will be. Like I said, there won't necessarily be a set badge, but there could be badges like when you reach X number of comics, or you have completed 80% of a series. That kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's best to consider that the Master Collector program will ultimately envelope everything that is within the VeVe universe.
Oh, that's great. And sorry, one other quick one. I know it's probably small right now, but I anticipate the comic section being pretty big. Do you see it having its own feed, so that just for comic lovers, they could get in there and discuss things without having to filter through all the other, stuff that we're looking at in the feed right now?
I didn't even think about
You mean,
that.
you mean the thousands of market listings?
Exactly.
Yes. No, you bring up a good point. Actually, in the web platform that is under development right now, when you're on the feed, you actually have the ability to filter what you can see. So, for example, I can turn off market listings, and I can turn off showrooms, or I can turn off whatever, just so I'm seeing. If I'm someone who's looking to buy, I can just turn on the market listings, and that's a feature that will eventually roll out to the app as well. Now that the product range is getting quite wide, we need to start allowing people to segregate the content a bit more based on what you're wanting to do within the platform.
Oh, that'd be great. Like you could have a check mark for comics, and everybody who has that check mark would get things related to comics. Like they'd have their own little subgroup within the feed.
Well, it would just be more like there's always going to be a huge range of posts on the feed. And what I'm saying is that you can basically just filter that feed so you're only seeing comic content or only seeing market content.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much for answering all this.
No worries. Thanks for coming out.
Awesome. The Just Pure, if you're up here, and then maybe we'll go to Cookie Monster. I'm going to bring a few more people up.
Yeah, hi guys. Hope you're all doing well. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, got you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, basically my question was this, and I apologize if you've already answered this previously, but yeah, the question is simple. Is there a limit to the amount that you can purchase of the same NFT in the marketplace? Is there any rules set by, say, Marvel to kind of like if someone was looking to mass purchase floor level NFTs of the same kind?
The Red Skull, baby.
Have they set any rules, or has any of the licensors set any rules in that from happening?
No, not at all. The marketplace is essentially free and open. The only condition there, as you guys know, with Marvel coming on board, is the secondary license fee that is part of the transaction. But outside of that, there are no limits. If you want to go and buy up the floor and then raise the price, I guess that's what you could do.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say, and well
David,
done for a great job.
If you're in the Discord, hit this little...
I feel like we should all rush out and buy comics based on that question.
And then Reese will call your name and bring you up to the stage.
Perfect. Cookie Monster, if you're up here, you got a question, mate?
Yeah, so...
Oh, we just lost you there, bud.
He just left.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, I'm having troubles. All right, say just like, God damn
it. You might just need to hold the button, whatever one you've assigned.
Yeah.
Real quick. All right, so David, if you're in the Discord, you just gotta hit this little hand button right here, request to speak, and then he'll call your name.
Shit. Oh my God.
It's all right. We might just move to the next one, and we'll come back to you once you've got it sorted. Just shoot me a message.
Okay.
The game guy, got a question up here?
This button right here, request to speak, and then Reese is gonna call your name.
Just on that, for anyone that comes up to the stage, I think you have to have a hotkey assigned, and you push it to talk, almost like a walkie-talkie if you're on a computer. You can just find that in your settings to access that. So if anyone hasn't seen it.
If you're on desktop, you can just basically hit the little arrow on the microphone button down the bottom of the screen, go to your voice settings, and change to push to talk.
Yeah, my fat fingers just keep sliding.
You're gonna have to do that too, David. Go into your settings and hit a button.
Let's go the game guy if we've got you, and then we'll come back.
Assign to talk.
I think we might have another push to talk issue here.
Yeah, it looks that way. Lit up, but no mic. Cookie Monster, you sorted?
Yeah.
Go for it, mate.
So I just want to know if I'm just a crypto guy. I buy the NFTs because just I don't care about flipping the NFTs. what reason would I have to stake my tokens? Like, what would be the value in that?
Unlock different
So
rewards.
Post Immutable is when we're going to be rolling out a lot more of the token utility, and it'll be, for example, you might stake your tokens to get certain advantages in the master collector level, or to get other certain features within the app that people would consider desirable, and that will also come in a range of options, such as that you might be able to choose to stake, or you might be able to choose to burn if you want something a bit quicker, or you want to get a little bit more advantage. So right now, I would 100% obviously recommend continuing to collect the NFTs, and then as we get through Immutable and we can start to roll out the token utility side of things, that's when you'll start to be able to use the OMI token for a lot more things within the app.
Okay, and have you guys started working on the VeVeverse? Is there like a file that you're working on, or like has it been worked on, like where you can see it?
Yeah, we basically just sit here twiddling our thumbs most of the day. Absolutely. I mean, there's a big technology ask, so that's been the primary focus over the past, let's say, 4 months. And now that we've got that sort of technology backbone in place, because obviously in order to run a metaverse, it's not like what we do now with just spitting out a few collectibles. It's a far greater technological challenge with the ability to have multiple users, shared spaces. So really the phase that we're moving into now, which is kind of why I'm quite excited, is really the visual aesthetics side of things. So heads up, Trevor, we'll be having a conversation next week about designing the sort of the theme and the look and feel of what the VeVeverse is going to be.
Oh God.
You don't have to understand that. I apologize.
And just a suggestion for like people complaining about the feed, like maybe you guys can just like put a forum, like Reddit or something, like that looks like Reddit on the web platform or within the app, just people can talk, and then still the feed is so people can share and list themselves.
Yeah, no, I do understand what you're saying. We will have like friend-like features coming in and messaging between users. Nice. Where I'm a bit 50-50 at the moment is that there's obviously a lot of platforms out there already that very successfully do what Reddit does. So, like I mentioned earlier, when we're assessing what features we roll out in the app, there's a number of factors that go into place, including what is already out there and what are people using at the moment, and will we have enough of a pull for that feature to bring people off those platforms. So there are some community features coming, but I can't guarantee 100% that we'll have a Reddit type feature in the platform.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
No worries. Yeah, it definitely sounds like we're leaning more in the direction of a friends list and building your own sort of localized community than the open
That's pretty cool.
forum thread, which personally I think would be more effective in letting people talk to each other.
Hey guys, I just have a quick question. Is the Master Collector going to be rolling out before the VeVeverse or after?
I would think so.
It more than likely will be before. And just to remember, like everything that we roll out, it's all going to be in phases. So, Master Collective phase 1 is going to have X number of features, and then, like I mentioned earlier, one of my preferred ways to roll out these features is to really let it evolve more than try to come up with 10 different things that we think people want. I would anticipate phase 1 will come out first because the VeVeverse itself is a much bigger ask. But again, same deal with the VeVeverse as well. That's going to be rolled out in a bunch of phases, and then eventually other areas or other locations within the VeVeverse will open up as they come to fruition. I can hear Trevor groaning in the background already. Like, what are you saying?
Enjoy it, Trevor.
I'm just watching the scope balloon. It's very funny.
gets bigger every day. It's great.
I love how Trevor has a roller coaster tycoon.
All right, hopefully that
candy
covers
shop.
that. So we'll just go through this. Pains, 7788, if you're there.
Yeah, just 2 quick questions. One, I'm not wanting you to allude too much, but would you say that the utilization of the OMI token when we switch over to Immutable would be on par with, like, let's say, Axie Infinity? Would it be that integral to the system or less?
The balance that we need to take, as we've always said with VeVe, is that it is a mass market product. So we need to make sure that that the crypto components in there aren't an initial barrier to to new users coming in, say from the comic world or from the collecting world, or even just from the general audience. As Reese mentioned before, VeVe has started a lot of people collecting who never really used to collect. And because of that, a lot of the token utility will be more around advantages to you as a user or as an OMI token holder. But however, in saying that, there will absolutely eventually be some OMI specific features in the app, or maybe OMI specific drops that are specifically geared towards our holders.
Okay, and my last question is for Trevor and possibly Dan. Could we have something like, I know you said that y'all struggle with gamification and it's very expensive. What about something like a 40K Warhammer board? And that way the community can kind of set their own power levels and whatever. There doesn't have to be any, figures moving perhaps, but...
Yeah, I mean, it is like Trevor has alluded to before. Even setting up something like that, while it may seem fairly simple on the surface, there is a lot of complexity behind the scenes. However, something like that is, I think is more than likely a path that we will go down when it comes to some of the gamification, which will more likely be in the VeVe-verse rather than, say in your showroom, because ultimately that's a very community-centric thing or a multiplayer-centric feature, which is what the VeVe-verse is more geared to.
Okay, and last quick question is web platform. I don't know if we've heard any kind of timing in relates to Immutable. Is it before, after, during?
Well, you know what I'm like with timings, time frames.
Well, sure.
I hope that it will be out before Immutable. To give you guys an update on the web platform, all of the major features have been built from the store, which obviously has everything in there from drop screen, brands, all of that stuff. The collection has been done. The feed is done, but just needs to go through some visual improvements. Marketplace is fully functional. We've got the wallets in there, your user profile. So all of the major features that you see within the platform now are all in place. And really what we'll be doing now is going through the really just sort of the whole tidy up phase, where we just, as you build things out in development like this, especially a big platform like this, some of the things, need to work a little bit better. So really we're moving into a phase now where we just start to tweak everything so things function a little bit more user friendly, a bit more intuitive. And then the last part of the web rollout is the whole payment platform side. As you guys probably know, right now, all of the payments through the app come through the App Store payments. And however, that when on the web platform, that'll be going through a more standard payment gateway. So number one, we can all say goodbye to the App Store fees, which will be nice for a lot of users. I know that there are obviously these digital tax laws in a lot of countries right now. So yeah, that's sort of where we're at with the platform and the features that the general rollout plan.
You got a lot of people with their hands up.
Perfect. Hopefully that answers some of those questions. I wouldn't mind just taking a moment to expand on the use of OMI within the app as well. I think it's important for people to realize, obviously we're adding utility and use cases to the token, but the point of that is to really create an economy around the token. So creating new ways to burn it for advantages or make purchases obviously increases the velocity of that token. So it incentivizes people to go and find out about it or buy it or use it. And really the idea of aligning that within the app is to make sure those incentives are strong enough or useful enough to people who are enjoying VeVe to go and also use the token. So yeah, a lot of that, the initial implementations will be sort of very specific use cases, but the idea is that they all piece together to create this economy around the token within the app.
Into a drop quicker?
Yeah, I'll probably just leave that.
I would, depending on the drop, right?
And who else have we got here? Just Creative or Ward 206? If you guys are up for the question.
I'm burning some Omi to get that.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yep, got you
Yes,
there,
sir.
All right, gentlemen. First of all, I want to say I appreciate it. I know you guys work hard on everything. And I got two quick questions. First one's the NFL. I know Rise has spoke about it before, about probably rolling it out in concert with the season. But how does that look if we know we have an NFLPA license, but there's been no mention of an actual NFL license? So how would that look? Possibly players with no logos or
I'm sure
uniforms?
they're about to get it if they haven't got
Yeah,
it.
they're very separate licenses when it comes to any kind of sport like that, where you have the overarching,
I'm sure they're watching too.
what is it, a federation or organization as such. And then underneath that, there's a whole layer of things. Like you've got the teams, and then even on the teams, you've got all the logos on the teams, and then you've got the individual players. So right now, yeah, we don't have a license with the NFLPA. But I hope that we'll be able to bring some news on that sports side coming up next month.
Oh, so they're probably watching. They're gonna get it. They just said they haven't got it.
You said
yet.
we don't have the NFLPA, or we don't have NFL?
Yeah, don't have NFL.
Yes.
All right, understood. And that's what I figured it would look like. And my second question was, although I like the blind box idea behind everything, and I love the model, is there any plan in the future to work on an actual unboxing event, kind of like NBA Top Shot does, just to make it a little more exciting and interesting?
Yeah, yep. I mean, there is possibility for that. That is really just comes down to more of an aesthetic thing on the front end, rather than any kind of sort of feature development. Blind box is a new feature that we've rolled out. Obviously, phase one, just to add a little bit more diversity into the different ways that you can collect on VeVe. And like most of the other features, I anticipate that blind box will just continue to evolve as well.
I know people are getting tired of them here and saying like
Sounds
phase
good,
one.
guys. I appreciate y'all's
This is
time,
still
and,
like early, but like they weren't expecting this big load yet. So like they set them back a little bit. So just give them some time.
It might be good to get some feedback from people as they come up. I mean, how are people finding the blind box experience? I know a lot of the stuff that I've seen, people are pretty happy that it's leveled the playing field, so to speak. No one's just racing for one specific rarity, which is cool.
Leveled it.
Of course, there are people that are getting sort of 30 or 40 comments trying to get all the variant covers. But if anyone wants to drop us some feedback when you come up, feel free.
That would be getting the 40.
I think it's a good change of pace.
Yeah,
I wouldn't like to say it every week. But once in a while,
how do you find it?
Cool.
I mean, do you enjoy the experience?
Oh man, I had a blast, man. I had a blast. I don't mind spending gems that I've made profits off of other investments. It was fun. It was really fun, but I didn't get any secret rares. I'm debating whether to go hard at it tomorrow or try to get one of these secret rares on the secondary market right now. I'm one of those guys that I'm in the middle of flipping and collecting. I'm trying to hedge my bets by having some sets set aside, and try to flip some to try to get my profit out. But I really I would like to, bro. You guys I love this project. I haven't even looked anywhere else. I have my blinders on. I'm so focused on VeVe and Omi, and thank you guys you've brought so many people together. We have friends here, me and Kay. He's across the pond. We're all become such good friends through this, and I can kind of see VeVe more like a social platform, and
it is.
all
it's
of us
social
are
media on the
going to be
blockchain.
in our little mansion in the VeVe verse with our avatars, and just have a little part.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I like that. It's more of a social platform idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's quite funny. There was this conspiracy theory that apparently VeVe team gives all of the content creators the rarest NFTs every drop. And, I'm just sat here with like 10 comments, so
all those followers.
I can assure you that the way the system works is basically impossible to give out a collectible before the drop. So yeah, just to hammer the nail on the head with that one. Yeah, it's not possible for us to even release a collectible to anyone else before the drop date.
And I will add, much to my chagrin, I still can't get them after the drop. So
it makes two of us, man.
Just on that point of comics, actually, I had a community question come in from Cavell Anderson. It's just related to, so we've got the comic books, and the same kind of comic book content is also available on the Marvel Unlimited app. So you pay $9.99 to get access to every single comic. So Cavell was asking, from a marketing point of view, how do you market people to kind of, I guess, rather than, or who are kind of on this $9.99 subscription a month, how do you entice them with the whole kind of ecosystem with VeVe to get involved with these comic books? Because I guess it's kind of like a lot of crypto people would care about the whole blockchain and kind of verifying authenticity, ownership, transaction history, etc. What kind of marketing approach would you take in order to kind of get these people to kind of adopt VeVe in a sense?
I mean, I think there's always going to be a place for platforms like, say, Marvel Unlimited or Comixology, where you've got readers who are prolific readers. One of the advantages with like Marvel Unlimited, I mean, they've got thousands of comics on there, and you can go in and read any one at any time. But for you to own that in the same way, to own those collectibles in the physical world or in, say, the NFT world, it is a little bit of a different offering. But I really see that, one of the awesome things about digital NFT comics is that they really are a complete merging or blending of what you could get from Marvel Unlimited, where the comic is fully digital, and then you've also got all the advantages that you'd have with a comic in the physical world, in the sense that you own it. You could potentially sell that, or you could put it in a safe case and get it graded, and then wait for a few years and get it until the value goes up. So I think it really hits, these digital NFT comics really hit, sorry, excuse me guys, really hit right in the middle of, what people can experience in the digital world and what they can experience in the physical world. And then on top of that, there's some other extra advantages, like, you can read in AR, there's, the pages never get destroyed or damaged. So I think people who read comics now will naturally start to buy these comics in addition to what they probably have physical collections. They have their Marvel Unlimited, their Comixology, and now they can have this new form of comic which has, in my opinion, the best of both worlds.
We actually have a question from the audience, and from Xavier. He's asking if what do you guys think about the comics being in like or sealed or bagged so that we can't read it actually?
Well, that would be a bit unfair if you brought it and couldn't read it.
These are like meant to be read.
You could choose to open it, like unseal it and read it, or
I
keep
see
it
what
sealed.
you're saying. It's almost like keeping a blind
but I
box
have to
open.
think about it. I mean, there's in the physical world, there absolutely is a reason to keep it sealed or unopened. I mean, even with collectible toys, a lot of people will buy two, one that they can open and put on their shelves, and they put the other one away, still in this box in storage. But I mean,
that's what I do.
I don't know if there's too much of an advantage in the digital space to say, hey, this comic's never been read. So I really need to think about that one.
Well, in the VeVe verse, I could see that you're coming into my house and there's my my comic that's inside a sealed bag, you know.
Yeah. I mean, there absolutely could be an accessory that you could put it inside, but yeah, like I said, I'd need to consider whether there's enough demand for that type of functionality out there to have a comic marked as never been read.
It's almost like
yeah, and I mean,
blind box open.
like I think that's kind of the point of taking these products digital too, right? The same as the collectibles. I mean, you've got something you can actually play with and interact with that always remains in mint condition. I think that we kind of don't need that functionality in the digital space, and it's okay to create those differentiations between the products. Yeah, that's my thinking on it. Okay, we might go to the next one, the Rebel Duck. If you're up here and have a question, feel free.
What up, Rebel?
Hey, everybody, can you hear me all right?
Yep, we've got you there.
Excellent. It's my first time jumping in, so I've been listening for many months. I'm pretty excited. I got something for everybody. I got something for a check-in, I got a story, and a softball. So I got to check in with Noah. I want to say thank you for a like on one of my posts. It was pretty cool to have a picture of the barbecue and one of my collectibles deciding to hang out and deciding it wanted meat and you liking it. So just wanted to give you a heads up that goes a long way, and I appreciate that. We're heading over to BC. Oh, go ahead, Noah. I see you talking.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, of course, always love seeing cool community content and sharing if we can. So, yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. BC Trevor. I decided I haven't played video games in a long time. I've been very focused on VeVe and loving every second. I think there's another word for it, but very focused on VeVe and loving every second of it. Ghost of Tsushima got a DLC, and I'm so excited. So I decided Friday night I'm going to enjoy that, and all of a sudden I had this great big fight, and then I head up to this mountain, and no word of a lie, it's called Mount Omi. And how awesome is that?
That is cool. I didn't realize that.
It's very cool. I was very pumped. I tweeted that out. I was like, "Are you serious?" It's like everywhere, so I'm very pumped about that. Reese, just wanted to give a welcome to Canada.
Thank you, good sir.
Very awesome. I'm very, and that kind of connects to my Dan C with Dave. So many years ago, I moved out. This is the story part. Many years I moved out cross country by myself, and 20 years ago, and my nephew and I would do our own kind of Facebook. He was 7 or 8 years old, but we had an actual book to go cross country. My mom would send it out, and we'd write in what we were doing, then send it back, and we'd write what we were doing, send a picture, right back and forth, and it was too awesome. And then one day he wrote in and he put a picture of Spider-Man. He sent that out. I still have that it's a sticker. And today, August 20th, here in Canada, is his, not sure what his birthday is, but what his age, but it's his birthday. And I texted him and said, "Love you, Jake. Download this app. I have a Spider-Man birthday gift NFT for you." He's like, "What?" And he's all excited. And he's a big fan of Spider-Man. And I've been, I holding back, but I'm so excited to do that. And just wanted to share that story with you because I've heard, I remember doing my research with Dan and Dave and seeing you guys talk about experience and how experience with your brothers or with collecting was so important. And that's when I was in from then on. So that's my story part. Feel free to jump in and yell, scream, whatever.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. I mean, I think that's one of the cool things about collectibles is that they've been around. I've always said really since the dawn of time, since you could go out and collect pretty colored gems from your caveman cave. But it's so cool that it's, it even crosses generations like that, now you're able to send your nephew an entirely new type of Spider-Man, and he's a Spider-Man fan. I think that's just super, super cool. And I would also like to do a shout out to you, Rebel Duck. I watch a lot of your videos, always fascinated to see what you're putting out, what the floor prices are. So big thanks, to you and obviously people like Kay up on the stage who put out such great community content. Someone touched on the community earlier, and really the shout out goes to you guys. It's actually everyone who's on this call, everyone who creates all of the videos and participates together. You guys are really what have turned this community into what it is. So I did just want to say a big thanks for that.
Awesome. Sincere thanks. Back edges. I got one quick question.
Go for it.
It's a softball. So Starfire, when we go into the marketplace and we go to brands and we go to bombshells, Starfire's missing. I just wonder if there's a secret reason why.
It's like a bug.
Now, right now, I believe I'll have to double check that one in the back end. I think they're both. It depends whether you're going into the bombshell, because bombshell came out as her own basically set, and so did Starfire. So it actually just depends whether you're browsing by the bombshell brand, or maybe you're potentially clicking on the bombshell. Sorry, the Big Barda or the Starfire series. I'll double check that. I know there is one or two bugs in the market brands at the moment, where when you click on a brand, then some of them are not showing collectibles. So let me follow up on that one.
No worries. I just wanted to give a fun one out there for us. I sincerely appreciate your time, and I haven't missed one yet. All the best. Cheers.
That's the thing. They take the time out of their day to do this.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Fancy Fingers, you got a question up there?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks so much for the past couple of days. They've been awesome drops. You guys are doing a ton of work, and I feel like sometimes people don't appreciate all the work that goes into it. They want to change in the app immediately when they don't think about how much work goes into it. So thanks for that. I got a couple questions about OpenSea. If and when we can list certain items on OpenSea, maybe like a Jermaine Rogers rabbit, are we going to be able to, if someone were to buy that from us on OpenSea, I know it won't look the same way it does in the VeVe app. Will they be able to take it from there and then put it back into the VeVe app so that they can get the 3D view and all that?
That's what's going to happen too. It's going to create a big shift.
100%. That's exactly how the intention for the collectibles, when they do eventually go out on the open market, is to work. That effectively, you can buy the ownership of that collectible with some associated metadata. But if you want the full VeVe experience, then you'll be able to transfer that ownership of the collectible back into VeVe and get access to the models and the showrooms and all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. That's humongous. Okay, and then another thing with OpenSea, will the original artists who've been paid, like Jermaine Rogers or Ron English, will they be able to get a percentage if something is sold on VeVe in the smart contracts? Will they get a throwback when images are made?
Well, that's one of the primary reasons we went with Immutable, because they are geared to have, they've got like the royalty kind of structure built in to the back end. So assuming it's staying on layer 2, and obviously Immutable is getting integrated into, a wide number of exchanges, marketplaces at the moment. And really, that is, as I mentioned in the last AMA, is how I see the licensing and artist landscape shaping out as we move forward. A lot of artists these days are at a slight disadvantage because they might sell their piece originally for, let's say, $100, and then they all of a sudden become famous, and then that same art piece that that they created get sold for $10,000,
nothing.
but they never are able to obviously have a piece of that. And as most people on the call probably know, that is one of the differentiating factors between having these digital assets. So yeah, that's absolutely how I see it.
Premium licensed digital assets.
That's awesome.
Game changing.
Super good questions. Very excited. Thank you, Reese. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Noah. Thank you, Trevor. Appreciate it.
No worries at all. Yeah, I think we've kind of said this a few times, but having that availability really it gives us an opportunity to change things in the favor of the artists, and the people that are actually creating this kind of content. So it's a really exciting feature of NFTs and digital assets. But I know I'm looking forward to it. Just Creative, if you're still up here and you've got a question, you want to go for it, mate? Still can't hear you on the mic there, bud. I don't know if you've got to assign a button.
I've got a community question if Just Creative's not there.
Yeah, go for that, and then we'll see if we can sort the sound out.
Oh, perfect. So Reese, I think it might have been you or one of the VeVe social pages that posted a little tutorial on where to find the comic collectibles tab, because a lot of people couldn't find it. I don't know if any of you guys noticed, but in that video, you made it visible that the Miles Morales comic is in there. So some people kind of noticed that.
Any of those graphics that you see are basically mock-ups that I created, and foolishly I typed in Miles Morales, forgetting about the absolute detective work that all the community does. Thinking back now, I should have put something way more exciting in there. But yeah, just a graphic mock-up. Sorry, guys.
Okay, yeah. So just on that point, actually, so the community question was. You guys have I know you've got the comics that we've released so far, but do you guys have the whole kind of Marvel same ones that they have on that Marvel app where you pay $9.99? Do you have access to all of those, or are those separately negotiated licenses that you'd have to go through?
Well, I don't want to go too much into our licensing deal or terms with Marvel. Initially we absolutely won't have whatever their catalog is, 32,000 comics on there. However, we will be still producing a decent quantity of comics each year, and I guess depending on the success of that, the popularity of it, it'll stay as is or grow potentially based on the popularity from the audience.
Cool, thank you.
All right, Just Creative, we've sorted that out.
Hi, good afternoon, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we've got you now, bud.
Okay, perfect. I was having a problem with push to talk. This is my first time on Discord. I want to thank you guys for having me on stage.
You are more than welcome.
Okay.
Oh,
just make sure you're holding that button down when you're talking, otherwise we lose you.
Got it. So I just had a quick question and a kind of out of the box idea that I don't know how complex it would be to implement. So let me just start off with the question. So as an artist and an independent artist, I was wondering, after the immutable transfer, would you guys be open to having independent artists submit content ideas to you or decks?
Right now, VeVe's focus really is more on premium content. So obviously, as you guys know, the bigger brands, and then we have obviously brought on a range of established artists. And for the time being, that's really the category that we want to stay in. There are a lot of platforms out there that allow artists to mint their own NFTs and then and have them interoperable and then sell on other platforms. So that's sort of our position on that at the moment. However, we will be bringing in another feature in the future called Artist Alley. Which is, where we'll be looking at, potentially allowing artists to do sort of more one-of-ones. But again, that is still going to remain sort of more in the premium category. of artists.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. Also, my other idea was kind of touching upon what you guys spoke about a little bit earlier with having maybe the comics being in a case. I was thinking maybe if you guys implemented kind of like a wear and tear system where after a certain number of trades or peer-to-peer transactions with, let's say, a specific comic, if it wasn't in a case during that trade, you could kind of see like a visual deterioration. And then maybe the cases could be made with OMI, maybe the comics could be repaired with OMI. What do you guys think about that idea?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. It is something that that David and I joked about. That as you read the comic, it would get more wear and tear, and then hey, maybe you pay a certain amount of OMI or a certain amount of gems to repair it. But I think that really goes against the inherent nature of digital assets, which don't deteriorate over time. So, I mean, there could be some items out there that could perhaps decay over time, but we really need to look into the viability of that. Like, somebody might be a bit annoyed if they buy something and knowing that it has limited tradability in the future. But I mean, it's the functionality is wide open. So if it was something that we got more feedback on, it's something we could potentially look into.
Right. Just some ideas. Thanks for having me.
No worries, man. Yeah, personally, I mean, I really like that idea. As you just said, Dan, it's hard if you've bought this digital asset that's meant to remain pristine and then it eventually wears just like a physical one. But, we've speculated or talked in the past of that sort of functionality maybe with your vehicles. Once you can drive them around and the technology develops, well, maybe if you crash your drivable DeLorean into a wall or something, then it remains dented until you pay to repair it or something like that. So I guess there's always possibilities of those configurations in the future.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure where there will be mass accusations of cash grab.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was just
That's
thinking
fair.
about that.
As long as I can run the digital garage, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, right? People are going to be able to create.
All right.
Be like
Who
mechanics.
else we got? Claire, if you've got a question up here.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we'll go to that.
Brilliant. Okay, so first of all, what I've realised since you've done the comic drops is just how important getting sets are and having that recognition of a set. Obviously, with the comics, it's not the same, and it's kind of feels strange that if you were to have a common, an uncommon, a rare, ultra rare, and a secret rare, it's not recognised. And just finding the listings in the market is a nightmare at the moment as well, sort of thing. Just as feedback, really.
Yeah, that's being developed. So there'll be sorting features and filters again for comics too.
Yeah, next release, Claire, which I'm hoping we'll have out around midweek sometime. We'll have the marketplace up to the same standard as the collectibles. Now, obviously there's a fairly common question around the different covers, and as I mentioned earlier, the comics really are there for reading. I mean, you buy that comic, you collect that comic, you can read it, and then you can on-sell it. Having sets with the covers, as I mentioned, is something that is we need to look at it about the fairness across the board because of the massive gap between, say, commons and all of the different rarities with comics, which are obviously significantly lower compared to collectibles. However, the comics that come out, they generally come in as part of a comic series. Like, you might have, someone brought up Miles Morales earlier. You might have, if you currently hold all of the Miles Morales series of comics, not necessarily the secret rare covers, but if you own all of the comics in that series, that's a potential way that we're looking at it. But then the other flip side of that is that series continue to grow, especially all of the modern, the frontless comic books. A lot of these series haven't ended. and a lot of the backlist series, was more than likely we won't be bringing out every single edition. So the comics are definitely a different play, but that's not to say that we won't bring in some additional collectability features in the future comics.
I like it.
Yeah, I think I just realised that I much prefer the 3D anyway and the collectibles, because obviously I love taking them out to play and taking pictures.
These are going to be AR glasses.
I just want to say one thing that's quite annoying in the app is if you use the, you have to sort of get the showroom up and going to get the collectibles if you want more than one collectible. And the amount of scrolling I physically have to do to get to the ones that I normally want, which are normally the newest ones you've got, can be quite time consuming. So
Yep, I totally hear you there. That is an extremely annoying feature in the app. And the reason we haven't rolled that out yet rolled out any fixes to that yet is because as part of the accessories upgrade, when you go into your showrooms, you'll basically be able to search and find either your collectibles or your accessories in the same way that you do in your My Collectibles page, where it's got all of the the brand or licensor or series across the top. And all of the latest ones that you buy will show at the beginning because that's what.
Oh, that makes sense.
That little switch is going to mean a lot.
No worries. Yeah, just bear with us on that one. I figured we'll just wait till we get the accessories rolled out rather than partially update what we've done. But I do hear you. It is extremely annoying, and I hate it as well.
But just to let you also know is if you do go into the improving, I know I'm in a group, VeVe Exhibitions, where I'm an admin, and there's a lot of people that do extremely mind-blowing showrooms, and they can only have, I don't know, is it 25 or something on the app, and they're having to basically destroy days of work because they can't do a new showroom.
I think there's a limit of showrooms.
And whether or not there's plans to make that better.
Sorry, Claire. I think I cut out for a second there. What was the difficulty part that were having?
I think there's only a limit of 25 or something showrooms, and once they go over that, they have to literally destroy what's in the app in that showroom to get a new showroom.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So you guys have 25 showrooms. That's definitely quite a lot.
I don't know. I haven't.
That's a lot.
People that spend weeks
two,
doing a showroom and they don't want to destroy it, which they're brilliant. And it's
maybe look into the
I've had like 5
to see if there obviously are, but just to see what the limits are there. That should be something very easy to lift.
Yeah, I feel their pain, and just to let you know, my digital world is actually becoming more part of my real life, because today I slipped into the river because I thought HQ poo was going to go down the river, so I went to try and grab it.
It's quite funny. I found that the more that you use the AR features, there's times where I will basically, if I wanted to take a cool sort of walk around video, I will in my mind I'm walking around something physical rather than I'm like, I can just literally walk straight through it because it's not there. So yeah, I hear you. It definitely becomes blurs the lines a little bit.
Yeah, but I love the app, obviously, and just you're all doing a great job, and thank you for letting me talk.
Thanks, Claire. You be careful on those walks, eh?
JD, which comic are you reading first?
Sorry.
I already read the Marvel one.
But,
that was probably the first one I read.
Gail, if you're up here, mate, how are you? Got some mic issues there, my bud. All right, might come back to you, sir. Steve0239, you got a question there, mate? Perhaps not. Just remember, you guys, that you need to push to talk to interact with us. Maybe we'll go to Trollian and then we'll come back.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we've got you, mate.
Perfect. Just one question. Is there any chances of one-of-one collectibles or off-color factory defects?
I mean, there's not
31
really
hoverboards.
any sort of factory defects in terms of the digital production pipeline. However, the one-on-ones, yes, I mean, inevitably that is going to happen. It's I'm sure there's a lot of demand out there, and I know that with the more sort of artist community that we have on board, it's more than likely that we will be selling one-of-ones in the future. That will be post-web platform because, you know, like if we're going to do a one-of-one at auction, it might, you know, gain pretty high values, and so we just want to make sure that before we roll that out, that you know, there's none of these limits where you have to buy, you know, you can only buy sort of 300 gems or 600 gems at a time, depending on what platform you're on. So yeah, absolutely on the roadmap.
The Gale's in the building. How to put my shades on.
One-on-ones within blind boxes themselves. So if you have the different variants, that gives everyone a fair chance of getting it, other than the rich people for auctions.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest, that one's not on our roadmap. I mean, we'd have to consider that. We have thought of, you know, ideas of maybe you get you know, in every collectible set there might be a very small number of sort of bonus or chaser collectibles that are very limited. But doing one-on-one in blind box doesn't really make economical sense for the, you know, for the artist involved. I mean, you know, effectively they'd be selling their item at $13 or whatever the blind box price is. So I'm not really sure if that model would work that well, to be honest.
That makes sense. All right, thanks, guys.
No worries at all. Thanks for coming up. The Gale, sorted it out, mate?
Nope. Who we got?
No dice. Well, I can't hear you, so I'm assuming no one else can. Stevo239, you got that, mate?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep, got you now.
All right, cool. So I understand you guys don't like to use dates and times because it puts you guys in a tough position. But basically, my question is regarding the MTL cash out option, because I have NBA Top Shot friends who have big accounts. They're very hesitant to put big money in because they can't get big money out, and they want to have quick access, you know, in and out so they can move from project to project. Is there any updates you can possibly give us about that?
Yeah, as I mentioned on the last AMA, the cash out process is coming along very well. We're in the regulatory compliance phase at the moment, which, as you can appreciate, again, you know, similar to the immutable migration, you know, this is a big feature, not necessarily technically, but it's something that needs to be very, very secure, you know, across AML, KYC, regulatory laws. So what I can tell you is that in terms of the development side, it's 90% completed in terms of the, you know, the ability to go through your KYC, set up your cash out. And as soon as we get through this final stage of compliance and testing, then I'm looking forward to rolling that out to all of the people who said it was never coming.
Tell them,
so this might happen potentially before before the immutable integration, or possibly a little after.
I hope so. Before. I mean, it's reasonable to think that it will come before. But as I say, you know, we are going through steps with a lot of external parties, so there are a few things that are out of our hands timeline wise.
Okay, that's a good answer. And I have just another small question, pretty easy. Will we be able to put our collectibles, like put two of them in augmented reality rather than doing like our the showroom hack where we have to put it behind the vault door? Do you have any update on potentially being able to put multiple collectibles in AR?
Yes, so we have a new type of showroom coming out called the empty space, which essentially is the showroom but without any walls. So you can place all of your collectibles, or as many collectibles as you want, in one empty area, and then when you project that into AR, you'll see all of your collectibles there together.
Okay. And then just for my own personal feedback, I'm not the biggest fan of the blind boxes. I prefer just to, you know, pick something out that I want to go for, and then if I don't get it, you know, so be it. But I understand why you guys are doing it. You want to get more collectibles in different types of ways to people's hands, and some people do enjoy it. But thanks for answering my questions. I appreciate it.
No worries, and yeah, just to touch on the blind box. I mean, obviously there's people who like things and don't like things, and that's ubiquitous across the app. But on the flip side, there are a lot of people who love blind box. So I think it's really about making sure that we are bringing out products that are a lot more diverse and give people a chance. Blind boxes are always going to be a lot cheaper, but you have that chance or the opportunity to score something rare. But then with the premium statues and any of the more expensive items that VeVe offers, they will always, well, I won't say always, but for the most part will always remain as your standard first in, first serve type of thing.
Just on the note of blind boxes, I know when people saw that roll out, everyone started getting excited for the LOL dolls because that's how they sell their physical products. I'm guessing it's fair to assume that that's how we'll roll out the LOL dolls as well?
I'm not sure, actually. To be honest, the LOL dolls are very complex assets, as I'm sure Trevor can testify. Even though they might seem like very simple characters, they've got hair and all that kind of stuff, which in the 3D space is a lot more difficult to create. David and I really do need to sit down and really work out as we get closer to the drop date of LOL as to the best way that we're going to drop those figurines. I mean, ultimately they are, for a younger audience, we really feel that it's a good opportunity for parents in the same way that, Tokidokis have been used with parents and children. So yeah, I don't really have an answer to that one just yet, but I guess it will be revealed before we drop it.
Yeah, that's it. We'll find out. Maybe we get to a point where some of them are the premium models and some of them get sold in blind box or something like that. We'll see how it plays out, I guess. We'll maybe go for another 20 minutes or so, Dan. Does that suit you? You got enough time to?
Yep, that works for me.
Dan's like, I gotta get back to work.
Lulu, if you're up here, feel free.
Or sleep, one or the other. I don't know how these people sleep.
You may have to do the push to talk thing as well, mate, if you haven't before.
Freestyle Friday.
And maybe blogger while we wait for that. NFT Hustle. Your mic working?
Yes. Hello.
Go for it, mate.
You hear me?
Yep, we got you there.
Perfect. I want to thank you guys. What have you done? This is like a collector's and a geek like me's wet dream. I love what you've done with the project. I just have one question.
From a true collector.
The mid numbers, you were saying that you have a purpose for it on the comic books. I don't understand very well, but I was going to ask you guys if, for example, I got the secret rare. I got very lucky. I couldn't believe it. I almost had a heart attack. And with the Marvel first comic, and it shows the 3,000 and something is still a low mint. But I think it looks better if it's a mint out of a 600 than 60,000. I don't know if you could put on the description under the comic book that description, when you put all the details under the comic book.
Yeah, I guess right now we aren't displaying that this secret rare cover is a 1 in 600. I think we're just showing the total edition. So yeah, I like that. Let me make a note.
Yeah, thank you. It's gonna help out, I think, for people that wanna sell it on the second market and all that. It looks a lot more attractive. It's gonna help for your royalties. I think it's gonna help. Because, for example, if someone comes new to the app and it sees a 3,000 mint, he's going to be like, oh, what is that? But if it shows on the details, maybe you leave the 3,000 on the mint, but when you read the details down, you could say, okay, this is the number out of 600. I don't know. Just to give it an extra description.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We maybe just above the total edition count, we can say that this is a secret rare cover, one of 600 or whatever it is.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. That'll be all, people. Thank you very much. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, mate. Awesome. Wooloo, I'm going to unmute you. We'll see if you've managed to get the microphone going. If not, there's a little settings icon, the little gear icon, and if you go to that and go to, I think it's video and audio or something like that, there's an option to assign a key that you then push to talk. So you may have to do that first, but I'll keep you on the stage for now, and we'll go to the next one. Bloggo, if you're around, if your microphone's working, let me know. I'll bring a couple more up as well. Alright, doesn't sound like those two mics are working, so McDevlin182, if yours is, feel free to jump in. And if not,
need to do something about this push to talk.
Yeah, I wonder if we can
Where
turn
is
off
it?
the settings, but I know we'll just end up with a lot of noise pollution going. Maybe that's a thing. We'll deal with it for next week. Dissident Wolf, God, if you have a question and you're happy, go for it.
Johnny Don, your boy. It's water.
Oh, it's like the best part.
It's the VeVe mix. Johnny Don.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, yep, there we go.
Okay, great. Yeah, first of all, I just wanted to congratulate you guys on what you've been doing. This has been my first involvement in NFTs, and I actually, during the last couple of weeks, I've actually kind of, I guess, progressed. First, starting out on VeVe, then, trying out NFTs on the OpenSea space, and then kind of learning and getting frustrated with a lot of the things that happen in that space, and then appreciating the VeVe app even more. So yeah, really good in that respect. I had a couple of questions. One, earlier you mentioned possibly burning or staking OMI token. I wondered if you'd also have any plans to do that with the NFT themselves, either staking or burning them for benefits.
Yes, we. Well, firstly, thanks for your comment on the VeVe. Really, that you ultimately are how we think a lot of our users will transition into the crypto space, and getting to know tokens like OMI better, and getting to understand what NFTs is. So I'm glad that you were able to be introduced to that world through VeVe.
That's like me too.
Now, in terms of staking NFTs, it is something that I have considered for sure. We just need to work out, really what kind of advantages you could get out of it, and what the outcome of that staking would be. Whether it's the collectible turns into something else, or you get something extra. There needs to be a little bit of thought, a little bit more thought from my side around the utility that would offer. However, the burning side of NFTs is absolutely something that has been discussed internally. In fact, I think we even thought about calling it something like the digital black hole, where you could basically just go and like someone out there owns a huge percentage of the let's say a common comic book cover. They could literally just go and burn them all to try to reduce the supply of that common cover, and then potentially ultimately raise the desire for that particular comic. So it's something that I've considered, not on an immediate roadmap, but we'll see how it goes with the evolution of that side of the business.
That part's crazy.
Okay, cool. That sounds great. And also my second question was a bit around the gamification side of things. I guess for me, I'm not really kind of clear on kind of what that means. I guess in your own words, could you kind of sum up or give an example of maybe what it would look like within the app? Maybe just in the early stages, and then potentially maybe how it would evolve.
Well, gamification is a very broad topic. In a sense, collecting sets is a form of gamification, as in you have this game loop, this game cycle, where you come in to try and acquire the collectibles to complete that whole set. And then as part of the part of the Master Collector, there will be, basic gamification as well. That's on one very simple end of the spectrum, and then on the other end of the spectrum is where you want to be able to race your DeLorean or your Ecto 1 against other users. That second example is a significant, technical. Well, I won't say technical challenge, but it requires significant technical resources to run and maintain those kind of games. So it's not likely we'll see anything like that in the short term. But I do hope as the VeVeverse evolves that we will see parts of that universe that are gamified to that degree. And whether that means we allow users to create their own mini games in the same way that Roblox
I thought
does.
that was the bombshell.
That part of the future is still to be determined. But obviously, gamification is a huge part of the world that we live in. So it is something that we want to build into the system, but we've got many steps ahead of us before we reach that point.
Brilliant. Thanks again for getting me on, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing.
No worries at all. Thanks for coming up. All right, Wulu, let's try you again, and if it doesn't work this time, probably just going to move you to the audience. So if you've got your sound sorted, go for it. Technical difficulties by the sound of it. Bloggo, are you still the same?
Anyone with microphone issues can always ask their questions in the voice
I should get
chat
on stage and just bump this song. Could you imagine?
Very good point.
They would hate me
all right,
so
Wulu
much.
and Bloggo, I'm going to move you guys to the audience, but if you want to drop a question in the voice chat discussion channel, I'll have a look over there. And in the meantime, Josh, 7291, Mr. VeVe Addict, if you've got a question, mate, feel free. Might also need to do the push to talk thing, and maybe while we wait for that, Spurs, if you're up here and your mic is working, feel free, mate.
How's it going, guys?
Really well.
I need another
So
coffee.
I just have a couple things I want to touch on. I know it's probably been discussed before, but I've always kind of just wondered, are you guys, is there any intentions on maybe like taking season 1 and making some of the collectibles automated?
I mean, anything's a possibility, but I think right now some of the attraction of the season 1 collectibles is the fact that they are what they are. I mean, it's like we're starting to move into our generation 2 collectibles now. Obviously with Trevor on board, you guys have seen a lot of the Spider-Man and these sort of newer assets that are coming out with a lot more interaction and animation. So while it's a possibility that we could do, I think there's something cool about season 1 always being that that retro season, the very first one that came in. Some
Legendary.
of the models aren't the best as they could be, but in some way that's kind of part of the charm.
Nightwing got it retail.
No real sort of plans to do that at the moment.
Awesome. Well, I'm just really excited to have been part of season 1. So, I'm really excited about that.
Shout out
now,
to you, Spurs.
The second idea is now I know you guys are growing fast, and like, was Marvel something that you were waiting for a certain amount of users, or is that some kind of format you guys follow for like bigger drops in the future?
Sorry, were you referring to the edition numbers there?
No, just the idea of like how many users you have to maybe support how big Marvel is. So you guys had to were you guys waiting for a certain amount of users to drop Marvel, or was it just a licensing thing?
No, it was. I mean, the Marvel deal was actually in the works. I would say probably a year before the app even went live. So at that point, we didn't even have any users. So it was always something that was going to come on the platform, anyway. It just turned out that we were fortunate enough to launch right in the midst of a lot of sort of hype around NFTs, and also that the platform itself is quite sort of fun to use. So no real sort of user limits or user targets for bringing on any of these licensors.
Cool. So that just kind of lures to my next idea. When we hit 1 million users, is that when we will get Star Wars?
That's a nice way to frame the old when question.
Somebody has to clip that part.
I have no comment on future licensors.
That's confirmed.
I was just trying
we
to
got
find
Star
a way
Wars.
around the win. So,
Just kidding.
guys. You guys are doing a good job. I'm not a collector, but I did find you guys through Omi, and I'm just very blessed to be a part of it. So, thank you guys very much.
That's so funny, man. Great
Thanks,
question.
man. We appreciate it. Hey, I've just got a couple of community questions that I just pulled.
That's great.
So one from Wooloo Den, and I don't know if this is on us or not, but if you die, what happens to your collectibles or your account? I mean, do we have some sort of, are we going to pass those on or something like that? Or is it up to the individual to have that allocated in their will, that kind of thing?
Well, I mean, anyone's welcome to bequeath their collection to myself if they want to. But, like any asset that anyone owns, if you own a car and you unfortunately pass on, that car doesn't automatically get allocated or assigned to someone. It would be, it would have to be part of your will, your estate, with some sort of form of instruction. I guess the same way as that if any of you own crypto,
And make sure you write down your
what would
password
happen
and
to that?
stuff.
You
That's
would
what
have
I
to
was
have your, access your keys, etc., as part of that.
But make sure you keep it safe.
Perfect. I think that should cover it for people. A lot of that liability or responsibility is on the individual. Another question or suggestion we just had, could it be possible at some point to gift wrap your collectibles if you're giving them to someone for their birthday or something like that? Is that a feature we could add?
Anything is possible. But I guess, with most features, we just want to come down to, how feasible that was in terms of demand and such. We could potentially put it in a box. Like I said earlier, any of these kind of features comes down to how much demand there is.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'd be a fun way to be able to gift things to people if we get there eventually. A build your own blind box kind of feature. And another question that I had, which you can probably address, Dan, I guess people are worried that once we have the web platform, is there a potential that we run into an issue with the app stores because we're using an alternative payment platform or something like that?
Not from my knowledge. I mean, there are a lot of platforms out there already that allow you to use, to go cross-platform. So I don't anticipate it to become an issue, but obviously we have many different pathways ahead as part of our technology roadmap that to help cater for those scenarios. But I don't anticipate it because it's, basically if they were to do that, they'd just be giving money away.
Yeah, exactly right. If they kick you out of there. So hopefully that appeases some people's fears there. Okay. Josh, 7291, have you figured out your set?
Did he leave?
Perhaps not. McDevlin, welcome back.
Hey, thank you. Just a quick question. I'm trying to touch, I guess, on your previous AMA where you were discussing geolocation and things like that. Is it ever going to be a possibility for the collectibles to interact with a location?
I guess the issue with that is there in the world, in our global audience, there will only be very few people who would be able to access those locations. So it would be a lot of effort for only a small percentage of the potential, collectible holders. So yeah, I'm not. It's not on the roadmap. I'm not sure. Again, I'd have to look at the feasibility of something like that.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Perfect. Josh, one more time, if your sound is working.
I think we've spent 20% of this AMA on waiting for people to push to talk.
Yeah, the old sound issue. I'll try and sort that out for next week, or actually maybe we'll do a Twitter Spaces AMA next week or something as well, just
Twitter
to
Spaces might be a little bit
introduce a
easier
few
for
more
new
people
users.
to what we're doing.
Right.
Oh yeah, go for it.
I just have a quick question for you, Reese. How many collectibles do you own?
That's a good question. Maybe like 60 or 70, something like that. I have a lot of the early collectibles that are probably some of my favorites still, and then really I only go for drops if it's something that I really want. You know, I know that it's pretty unlikely that I'll get a low mint or a secret rare or things like that, so I've kind of resigned myself to collecting the things that I like or enjoy. And at the moment, a lot more of that is probably the artist releases. For me, I mean, these are people that I never knew anything about before I sort of, started researching to write these articles or whatever. But, having the opportunity to talk to some of them, like Kozik and Jermaine and things like that, I really like connecting their art to their story. It's just a bit more meaningful to me than a sort of pop culture character or a hero or something. So that's how I approach the app.
Awesome. Thank you guys again.
No worries at all. Andre0617, I don't know if you can hear me, but I've invited you up to speak if you want to accept that. And Irving as well. And then we might wrap it up, team. It's been going for a couple of hours now. Go one more there. OMWTFYB, you accepted the invite first, Matt. How about it?
True.
Hey, thanks guys. Thanks for having me on the stage. I did join a little bit late. I just wanted to touch base real quick. First, on something you probably already covered about the comic books. I know you guys said that it's in development for the new marketplace. In regards to like sorting and all that good stuff, would we be able to see them being added to our collectible list, like our amount of collectibles in the near future?
Yes, you are correct. That was raised. So the first point, the market collectibles, the market sorting, aiming to have that rolled out by midweek, depending on the app gods' approval. And what was the other question? Oh yes, showing the count in your profile. So yes, collect comic books and digital collectibles will contribute towards your total collectible count. We just need to get the comic books added in there.
All right, cool, perfect, thank you. And another question that I do have is in regards to, again, very, very far off. I'm in no rush, not even thinking about this year or next year. But if you guys ever do decide to have like land in the VeVe-verse, do you guys see any utility being used in that land? Like Alluvium just had an AMA not too long ago. I caught it on Poor Man Printing's. And they mentioned that they would have land where you can maybe mine resources. So I'm not sure if, you guys thought about, hey, we can have land and someone can mine, whether it be a perk to the Master Collector program, like a millisecond off for mining the land, or maybe they're able to mine OMI or stake their land for some type of purpose. Do you guys see that being something possible in the future for utility in land?
So yes, I mentioned just a little bit earlier, maybe before you came on board, that land will definitely be part of the VeVe-verse. In terms of mining it, probably not, but the land will have various utility of sorts beyond just you owning it.
They can't give too much detail.
The mining idea is really cool. I haven't followed a lot of the Alluvium project, but I know that one of the founders or the founder is Robbie from Immutable's brother. So they're obviously very connected there, and it's exciting to be moving to a protocol and a chain that has that kind of community around it as well. I think there'll be a lot of good ideas floating around.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool idea, and the project's it's new and interesting, but I still like the VeVe-verse and all of your utility. And if you guys ever do decide to do anything with real estate, I would love to be a part of that. You know, if I can broker some transactions for some newcomers to some people who might not want to be, you know, so on the front line marketing their $1 million land in the VeVe-verse.
Yeah,
for sure. You want to be a VeVe real estate agent.
Exactly. I actually do deal with real estate quite frequently in my day-to-day life, so it wouldn't be too far of a hurdle.
Nice. Wonder if we end up there with employment in the VeVe-verse. That'd be pretty cool. But anyway, was that your last question there, mate? Before I throw to Irving for the last one.
Ted's probably looking at Reese.
Yeah, I think that's. Oh, one last question. Will there be a drop for the last week of August?
Can't give out too much.
Yes, there will be. I can tell you before August, there will be 2 more collectible drops, and there will be more comic drops.
Oh.
This month just gets bigger and bigger. I hope you've managed to get some sleep at some point there. It's wild.
Go on. People who roll into September.
Yeah, that's it. And they just stack on. All right, Irving, if you're up here and you have a question.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Got you there, mate.
Thanks. So yeah, I come from the Pokemon community. So I've been collecting Pokemon cards since 2011. So in the Pokemon hobby, not only is condition everything, and can decide how much a card is worth, but also the sealed collection market is pretty big, if not bigger. So I was wondering, with these blind boxes, would it be possible to like have the option to keep them sealed? Because I wouldn't know how that would work on the blockchain. Yeah.
Yeah, a few other people have brought that up earlier. And to be honest, it's something I really need to consider a bit more deeply, whether we do decide to have sealed items. Obviously, there's no degradation of any digital item, so it would purely just be an unsealed, or an unopened blind box. But I have seen a few requests out there, or people mentioning that. So something we can add to the feature backlog.
Oh, okay, nice. And then another question I do have, because, like I said, condition is everything in this hobby. And I actually only really like collecting physical stuff, so this whole VeVe thingy. So obviously you can't grade any of these NFT collectibles because you can't damage them in any way. So I can now see how the low mint numbers can become more valuable in the future. And I want to start collecting these very low mint numbers of the Marvel comics you guys released on Friday. However, it kind of scares me if I do want to buy or pay these high premiums people are asking, because for us, the public, our only very early NFTs is like 501, right? So that's kind of what scares me, because there is like 500 more comics before that. And so my question would be, when do you think we will see like these sub 500 Marvel comics and stuff like that?
You mean people listing them on the market?
Yeah, like on the secondary market.
Well, I guess it comes down to the individual owner. I think for these first few comic drops, especially, Marvel's first NFT comic book ever. If you've got a sub 500 and maybe it's a secret rare or even a sub 500 common, to be honest, maybe people are just holding them because they could be more valuable over time. So a bit difficult really to say when they'll come on the market. I think you really just need to watch. And one thing that I will say is that, for me personally, I never buy on the market the day after the drop, because it's always super inflated. Everyone's in the rush. So, maybe just keep monitoring on it. Watch platforms like the Rebel Duck, who always does great overviews of the floor price to see how things are moving, and that might be your better bet.
Yeah, shout out to Rebel.
Oh man, Dan, I just spent $1,300 on the Thor comic.
Well, no, don't worry. Like I say, these first few are, I think it's they're the type of ones that you want to hold.
Price just went up.
So, these are the first ever digital Marvel comic NFTs. It's based on the first ever comics. Like they're pretty exciting as a product. Just on that, in case some of that was missed, with a normal collectible release, obviously we hold on to the first 40, and we take a randomised sort of 50 from the remainder. Are we doing the same thing with comic books, Dan?
Yeah, we are. The first 40 obviously will always remain with the company, just because. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you guys, we never anticipated those first 40 would become so valuable, and in the future as we roll out new ones, that number might change or might lower. But again, a lot of those are sort of allocated off to licensors and artists and that kind of thing as well. Now, the comics, I would actually need to check whether they are randomized, and if they're not, that they should be. We obviously don't want to be scooping up too many of those lower ones. So we can move ahead on the assumption that for comics in the future, they will be, the first 40 will be held back, but any further that are held back by the company for, use of promotion or giveaways, they should be randomized.
Yeah, perfect. I think that might have been what Irving was kind of getting at there with the sub 500s. We're like wondering if we were getting the old ones. Sorry, that was my phone. Right, Kay, you've got a question there, and then we might call it a day.
Yeah, actually, just on that point, this was a very good community question. I completely forgot about it, but it's on the point of the comic editions that you guys keep back. I know you keep back #1 for the VeVeverse, but because for comics we have this kind of unique system where all of the covers are in one pool, so you only get one type of edition #1 out of everything. Would you guys be able to tell us, probably whenever you can, what type the edition #1 is that you're keeping back? Because we know that it can only be a secret rare or even a common, but you can only get one of that edition #1 regardless of the cover type.
Yes, that is a great question, actually, Kay. I'll have to go and have a look at what the comic allocations are, because you are right. There is only a #1 of a certain type of comic cover. So yeah, I'd have to look into that one.
#1 secret rare.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it would be quite interesting because if that's the case, just idea of VeVeverse seems to me like you guys have like at least one of everything. So in the VeVeverse, would you only ever have just one cover out of that whole series, or would you aim to have one of each cover, but then it kind of like clashes with the whole kind of like mint #1 kind of aspect you're going for?
Yeah, well, I mean, the company will always have one of everything because it's the company, and it should always have one of everything. And in the VeVeverse, they will all be set up in VeVe's giant vault where people will be able to explore through all the Batman, all the Marvel, and in there will be every single variation of the comic covers as well. But as you rightly point out, Kay, some of those it's literally not possible for us to have a #1 of everything when it comes to the cover variants. But will they be on display? Absolutely.
Cool, perfect.
All right, awesome. Guys, we might wrap it up there. We've been going for a couple of hours. Thank you to everybody for joining us and all your questions. Dan, big thank you for making the time today.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Reese,
and everybody appreciates
Noah.
it. We'll be back at it next week at some point, so I'll just keep an eye on our announcement channels and I'll put that out. So if anyone didn't have their question answered, I apologise that we didn't get to you, but we will endeavour to in the next week anyway. So big thanks, everybody. I hope you all enjoy your weekend. That's it from me. Dan, any final words there?
Just once again, thanks to everyone for taking part in the comic, and thank you again for all your feedback. I know there were a few little things left out in this phase 1, but like I say, fixes coming in to the most annoying little bugs next week anyway. And good luck for edition #1 of comic #1 of Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of excitement.
I'm
just
getting
on
the secret
that,
rare tomorrow.
In the lead up to the drops too, guys,
Good
there
luck,
is
everyone.
we do have a channel in our Discord called Granola Games, and Granola is one of our mods. He runs giveaways for just about every drop, and they play some games that they set up within the VeVe app. So if anyone wants to participate in that, meet some people in the community, or potentially win something, make sure you're jumping in there. I think he starts an hour before the drop, so you should be able to jump in there too. But otherwise, thanks everybody.
We started 2 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours before. You start 2 hours before now? Okay. All right.
Yeah, sometimes we're 5 hours after too.
Yeah, I see that chat open all the time. So, anyway, if people want to participate, get involved. Big thanks to you guys for putting that on as well. And yeah, good luck in the drop.
Thank you, everybody.
Cheers. Have a good week. Bye.
Hey, Noah, since you're still here, I have a quick question for you, if you don't mind, while you're hanging around.
Yeah, sure, I can hang for a second.
It was actually more of a community safety question that popped up in one of the Clubhouse chats a few weeks ago in regards to the VeVeverse. Again, long term, we're in no rush. They just wanted to know, it was a crypto khaki and orange bag lady who brought it up. They wanted to know if there will be any type of safety feature incorporated when the VeVeverse actually enrolls. That's like, hey, you spent 10 hours in this digital world. Go sign off for 10 minutes and come back, just for everyone's like psychological well-being.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good idea. I can, suggest that to the team. I think they, are still in concept phases of some of that stuff, so I think it'd be pretty easy to implement that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, yeah, I just, I didn't want to cut everyone off that last second while they were trying to, enjoy their dinner or something.
Yeah, of course.
Well, thanks so much for hopping on the AMA. We really appreciate you guys, like, wholeheartedly.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, our host left, so I'm going to hop off. But, yeah, hit me in Discord if anyone has any more questions, and I'll see if I can answer them. Thanks.
Take care.
Right, bye.
All right, later, guys.
Yeah, have a
Unless
good one,
you guys are trying to stay up here and talk.
We're going to spend 5 hours, right?
No, we got a long morning tomorrow, man, and I just FOMO'd into the Thor, so to the secret rare.
I like the secret
rare. Well, I'm glad you got one, bro. Honestly, why didn't you go for Marvel #1? Just curious.
2 reasons. It was lower mint, and it wasn't cheap enough.
I hear that.
So I gotta still make some moves and try to get it. But definitely, I'm gonna first try to score it tomorrow on the drop. So maybe I could get a cheap secret rare. And if I don't do that, then I'll try to get that first one for sure. That's the one I want. But what can you do?
Would you trade a lucky for one?
Man, that's a good question, bro. I didn't think I would trade. I don't think I would trade my lucky, just because it's lucky, man. A lot of collectors are suspicious, and we're weird people. And you got a lucky, you just feel luckier. I don't know, man. I don't know if I could trade that away.
I hear you. It's just, what if you possibly have an extra lucky? Dude, just throwing some scenarios that one of.
No, I'm not.
That part was worth the whole AMA right
like that. I've got a few sets and stuff, but I have just one of each collectible, man. These comics are the first time I have all these multiples. It's a hard choice because once I get rid of it, I get rid of it. That's it. Like, unless it goes to a crazy floor and I could rebuy it. But if I'm getting rid of it, like right now, I just had to make moves. I had to sell in order to get that secret rare. There's nothing I can do about it. Right. So if I can live without it, then it's gone. I could consolidate and make a good move and get a secret rare. I'm trying to get things that I think are possibly going to be 10K in the future. And not everything on this app is going to be 10K.
Right. That's a fact.
So that's what I try to do. I'm trying to think, man, if I got 10 collectibles at 10K, that's the type of thinking I'm.
I hear you, man. Well, good luck tomorrow. Best of luck, and I'll see you first thing in the morning, 9 a.m. sharp.
All right, man. Good luck, everybody. See you guys.
Peace.
All right, y'all. Good luck tomorrow. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream, the AMA. I know I had a good time. We're going to be live streaming tomorrow's drop too, so tune in, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We're gonna be doing a live drop. I'm probably gonna do a live stream probably earlier than I've been doing, like 10 minutes before. I'm probably gonna do it about 20 minutes, 30 minutes before this time, and just have a good time. Bring your coffee. And we're tuning out, y'all. It's your boy, Johnny Dunn. We out.
Grinding every day and I did it my way.